Hey, comic art fans, this is Kevin Sharp with another edition of A Page I Love. And today, my guest is artist Marc Laming, whose most recent project is Eden from Humanoids. Marc, welcome to Comic Art Live, and thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thank you.
Please tell us the artist and the book that you've chosen a page from today.
Well, the artist is a French artist called Mathieu Lauffray, whose work I've loved for a good few years. I first saw his work on a book called Long John Silver at a convention, and I fell in love with his work from there and have done a deep dive on him since then. Mostly his books tend to be either horror or swashbuckling pirate adventure, which is kind of my bag.
How did you narrow down on where you'd particularly look as far as what we're talking about today?
It was so hard. I mean, there was so much stuff I could have talked about. There, there's Alex Toth books I love. I almost did Chris Samney. I almost did Edwin Bivik. And they could have been Batman Year One. There's tons of stuff, but I thought it'd be more interesting to do something that maybe people haven't seen before.
Mission accomplished. I'm just going to speak for the audience. If not all the audience, then probably the majority of them. And that's what makes this a pick like this so fun. Let's, to pardon the pun, dive in. Tell us about, just as a big picture here, when you look at this as a whole, what was it that about this particular page that made it your pick?
Okay, it's the first page of his newest series, Raven, which is another pirate book after Long John Silver, and it's one of those ones where you drop into the middle of the story. I always like books that start with "meanwhile" or the equivalent. I like being dropped into the middle of a story and having to see where it ties out. So the main character, the protagonist, is attached to a huge anchor at the bottom of the sea, obviously about to drown. It's beautifully drawn, which really helps. I mean, I think he's one of the best draftsmen in comics. I mean, I'm a huge fan of European comics anyway, but it has everything I like about Belgian French comics in terms of cartooning, and it's got that beautiful, clear but kind of quite messy, almost Sienkiewicz kind of inking to it, but not quite, or Klaus Janson, but there's still something slightly more bouncy about it than that.
I almost thought Fraser Irving for a second.
I can see Fraser's work there. Yeah, every single panel is beautiful. I mean, you've got the drama of the first panel, which is the guy at the bottom of the seabed attached to by cables to the anchor that's been dropped, and then it's just build up of panic on his face when he realizes the situation he's in. He's either coming because it's not explained whether or not he's coming to or he's already accepting his fate. I just think it's masterful storytelling. The sort of stuff that you sit there and go, I just appreciate every single line you've put down.
I know you mentioned, swashbuckling. You're a fan of the subject matter, but as far as the artistry, is there something about his work overall that you could point to as a general strength?
It's difficult because he does a lot of things that I like. So there's the strength of the figure drawings, great, but there's great cartooning in the faces, and there's really great expressions in the way that somebody like Chris Samney straddles the line between being quite cartoony, but also having. I mean, he'll hate me saying that I said that his work was cartoony, but it's the easiest way to describe what I mean. I mean, I would say it's a bouncy line, but to really let people know what I mean, I think cartoony or Alex Toth like is perhaps a useful reference. But it's having that. It's wonderfully dynamic, but without being Jack Kirby. It doesn't have. It's not punching off the page, but it is dynamic and it moves.
Well, we really appreciate you going with such a deep cut, Marc, and I think you've given viewers who are interested in seeing more of this artist's work a lot of back catalog to look through. You've certainly given me some homework, and it's the fun kind of homework.
Oh, awesome! Well, I'm sorry it's in French. But, it's the comics that I read with a French English dictionary with me. Because my French is okay, but it's not brilliant.
Well, let me turn it over to you now, Marc, and please tell the viewers about Eden and where they can find it and what to be expecting if they pick it up.
It's a dystopian future sci-fi family story. with a touch of survivalism and lots of interesting characters. One of the main protagonists is an 11-year-old girl who also happens to be a little bit psychotic, but she's a lot of fun. It starts off set in dystopian Paris and ends up being on board a large spacecraft ferrying people from Earth to a new land that's been found, which is a better Earth, hence the name Eden.
Very cool. And people can find that out now from Humanoids. Thank you so much again for joining us, taking the time, and your thoughtfulness with the art pick.
Thank you very much.